Hi everyone, this is Hannah, bringing you this week's webinar from Strucsoft Solutions Great Tech Group. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about what's new in MWF, Part 2. If you haven't already seen the previous webinar, which was Part 1, we had covered walls in the new build 8675, version 2.4. I highly recommend that you take a look at it if you haven't already. You can find this on our YouTube channel. So today's topics are going to include floors and trusses in the new build. The webinar bullet points are for floors. We're going to talk about floor visibility. There's a new menu for this. Create marker lines. There's an update in the dialog box. Floors Edit Wand is now compatible with sheathing. This is great news. And Add Member Distribution command has been renamed. For trusses, we're going to be able to import trusses from Everest, but there's actually this has been available before, but there's something new about this option. We're also going to talk about the truss spacing for valley sets. There's actually a new technique for spacing that's available and a new code update. So let's start. I'm going to jump into my project. I will be jumping between different MWF builds. I have the latest build on my end. Right now, we're looking at 8675, and I will be showing you a previous build on another Revit that I have open just for comparison purposes. The first thing to talk about is the floor visibility menu, which you can find over here. So for now, the new floor visibility menu has been added to the floor module ribbon for visual consistency purposes. There's also a new tool, which is Panel Manager command. This has been added. This wasn't there before. I just want to show you what this previously looked like. Here, I'm in a previous build. I'm in the floor module. And as you can see here, we don't have the Panel Manager available. The quick search was here. And where was the selection? The selection tool was over here. So now they have been combined together in this new build for consistency purposes. Let's try a few tools over here. If you haven't tried these already, I'm just going to try a few options. So if I use this tool over here, it will select NonFramed Floors. So now it's searching for floors, ceilings, and roofs in my project, and it's going to select anything that hasn't been framed. Just keep in mind that it's not going to be searching for any lines, so this will only apply for floors, ceilings, and roofs. Let's make a selection and let's actually frame these panels. I'm just going to use light gauge. I will frame it now and click on create. And it's just going to ask me for the roof. I will just use bottom face and click on OK. So for the quick search tool, let's just change the view here. Let's say you're looking for a specific panel. We have a quick search tool for this. Let's say we're going to look for floor panel 7, so we can click here. And we would get this dialog box. We can type in part of the name, such as panel 7. This can be case sensitive. It can stop at first match if you like. I'm going to click on search, and then it's going to show me the panel that has a similar name. And when I select it, and I can also click on show, it has selected this panel for me. The next option over here, this is a new tool. If you click on Panel Manager, you're going to get this dialog box, which says this operation may take a long time and asks you if you want to continue. I'm just going to continue. You'll get this dialog box, which shows you a summary of the floor panels that you have in your project. If you have any positioning names, they would show up here, the level and the panel weight. You can import panel data. You can access panel properties from here. You can delete panels. You can hide panel members, show panels, and you can view select affected panel members. And that's it for the first option. Next on our list is the floor marker lines tool. So this is actually a very exciting change. So over here, if we wanted to add marker lines, we would have to go to the marker tool. We would have to create marker lines. And here, the new feature is actually this part over here where it says manage. So previously you had all these options except for these two over here. These actually enable you to manage bridging types within the create marker lines and manage whole series within the create marker lines tools. I'm just going to jump into a previous build and show you the difference. So if I could select here the same tool, which is in markers, create marker lines, I just want to show you that it looks different. So you'll notice over here, this tool used to look like this. There were no manage options over here. And if we go back, I just want to bring this in from the other build. The difference is right there. See over here, there's the manage option. So let's go back and try this tool over here. Just bring back this menu. You've probably seen this before. I'll go over this really quick. You can add marker lines at wall support, beam support, panel start, panel end, or I'm just going to use regular spacing. The spacing can be anything you like. I'm going to make it 3 feet. The first offset, I'm also going to make 3 feet. You can add a benchmark. I'm not using any. You can also use equal spacing with max distance, but I'm just going to use this option over here. So the difference is that, let's say you haven't created the bridging type that you want to use, you have the option to manage it. On my end, I do have some options, but let's say I didn't create the one I wanted to make. So I would click on manage, and it will take me to the dialog box that you previously had to access outside of this command. This is where you can create, rename, delete, and you can make or modify bridging types from over here. For whole series, if you click on manage, this will take you to the dialog box that you had to access from outside this tool. It was located elsewhere where you would create whole series. You can create new, rename, and you can also delete from over here. I'm just going to go ahead and assign bridging types and a whole series. And then I'm just going to click on OK. I just want to show you one more thing. This is also another change. So over here, when you create these marker lines, if you go to properties, you also have the option to manage bridging types and whole series from over here. This was not available previously. In fact, if I go back here to the previous build, let's create a few markers. Let's make these 5 feet, 5 feet, and I'm going to click on OK. So I've created several marker lines. And if I select one of these marker lines, and if I go to MWF Pro Suite, I can click on properties. And the bridging type does not have the option to manage from marker lines or from create. Okay, that's it. So I'm just gonna click OK. Let's regenerate this panel so that we can see the blocking and the whole series that we've created. There it is. And that's it for this option. The third topic to talk to you about today is that now Floor Edits wand is compatible with sheathing. That's great news, actually. So previously, you were able to use edit wands for different features, but not for sheathing. Now this is available, and you can make a change that looks like this. So for example, I want to make a manual change to sheathing. Maybe I just want to create an offset on one side and an offset on another side. Maybe something like this, something like that. So now what I can do is I can go to the Edits tool, Edits wand, and now if I regenerate this panel, the changes that I did to the sheathing are actually going to be saved. The next topic is add member distribution. So the add member distribution option has been renamed. To find this tool, it's going to be over here. Actually, I'm just going to move this a little bit because we're going to talk about it. So this menu has recently changed in previous builds, but in this build, there's also one more thing that has changed. So if you go to Drawing Manager, now there's a tool here that is called or renamed Add Schedule Label. Previously, this was actually called something else. It was called Add Member Distribution. What this does is that, let's say in this panel, if I select this member, and if I go to the properties and I scroll all the way at the bottom to take a look at where it says other, here under BIMSF container, this is floor panel 6. The description is that it's a joist, and the label for this element here that I'm selecting is J6. If I select another one, this is J8, but it's also a joist. This is J10. This is a partial joist, PJ6, and etc. So there is a command that has been available in MWF for quite some time. It was previously called Add Member Distribution, which will populate another parameter and give the same naming convention to elements that are similar, such as these two that we see over here, or these members that we see over here, since they have the same length and same characteristics. To use this command is going to be the same as before, it just has a different name. And here you would add schedule label. So you would select one member, click the tool, and then you're going to get this dialog box. What you can do is use distribution strategy type A, which basically finds and labels identical members and subassembly within a single panel with the same value. For individual members, the label is stored in the schedule label parameter. I'm going to show you this parameter in a second. I'm just going to click on OK. And now if you scroll down at the bottom, you'll notice that there's a new parameter that has been populated, which is called BIMSF schedule label. So basically, the two naming conventions have been unified. Here it says as schedule label, and here it says schedule label. And now this is called J0. This member here is also called J0. This one is J2. This one is also J2 because they share the same characteristics. This one is J1. And this one is J0. Let's jump back to see a previous build. And I just want to show you where this tool was available. I actually just want to drag this here. So previously, this menu looked different. We had Drawing Manager V2 and we had Shop Drawing separately. These have been merged, but this has happened before, not in this build, in a previous build actually. But what we're talking about is this command here. This was called Add Member Distribution, and now it has been renamed, but it basically provides the same, it's the same tool that we had before. And this concludes our portion for floors. now we're going to talk a little bit about the new features in trusses. Actually, for truss import, I'm going to open a new project. It's going to be a blank project for this one. And I'm going to switch to ProSuite. By the way, I'm using ProSuite because I just wanted to show that you can, that these changes have been applied to both wood and LGS. And then later on, I'm going to jump into advanced metal because there's a specific addition that has been added to advanced metal. So over here, let's actually switch to the truss module. Where you see create, if you click on this little arrow over here, you can create independent truss, and you also have the option to import truss. So this option was actually available before. This will allow the user to import a truss envelope from a previous project. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to import an Everest project. So when I click here, it's going to look for XML files, so truss XML files. Everest creates trusses in XML files, and I actually have the Everest project because I do have Everest installed on my computer. There it is. So I have created a truss in Everest. I have saved it, and we're going to bring it in to our Revit environment. So I'm just going to minimize this. So this is the truss that I want to bring in. I'm just going to click on open. So previously, you actually needed a roof model to be able to insert an Everest Trust, and it was going to be inserted at the 0, 0 point. This is no longer needed, but the technique is that you have to click on Escape on your keyboard, and it's just going to upgrade. And then you can bring in a truss to the location that you have been looking for. Let's try it again. Import truss. You select, click open. So you can place a truss from Everest without needing a host, and you can specify where you want to place it. I'm going to close this project because we don't need it anymore. Now let's talk about the truss valley change. So over here we have a roof and we have some walls, and we've already partially created some trusses. The tool we're going to talk about here in the truss module is actually about the valley that we see over here. So if I select this roof, and if I go to the tool where it says valley, it's going to ask me for some references as per usual. The first one is to select the main ridge line. I'm going to select this one. You can also select, you can either select the upper or the lower one. I've selected the upper one. Then you need to select the valley lines. Just be careful what you're selecting because it matters which one. You could select the bottom or the top. I've selected the top, and I'm going to click on finish. The other thing is the last truss. You also need this as a reference, which is this one over here. You can add supports. I'm actually going to do that. So just going to select this wall over here and this wall over here, and then select finish. You can specify the structural layer. I will select entire wall, and I will select center. You can select far, center, or near. You can also add a cantilever offset. You can use the same name for next supports, the same for next supports. I'm just going to click on OK. So this is the difference between this build and previous builds. Building orientation is actually the option that was previously available, and now we've added a feature that is called ridge intersection. This actually allows you to offset from the valley intersect, which is this point that I'm pointing at over here. I will explain the other one in a little bit, but let's talk about this option. So you can specify the offset from the valley. I'm going to make this 2 feet on my end. And then you can offset from last truss, but as a minimum. So it's going to calculate the leftovers over here. I'm going to keep this minimum as 12 inches. You can specify the spacing from over here. I'm going to keep it as is. And you can offset from outer face. You can also add a stub truss. You can create lines only, but I'm going to just keep it as is and click on OK. So if you actually measure from this point to this point, it's going to be 2 feet, just like I specified, and the leftover is going to be here with the minimum that I had mentioned. The previous option looked like this. I'm going to jump back in time into a previous build. Let's remove the section box. I've already created an example here. Just going to select it, BX on my computer. And let's go to the truss module. And let's try the valley command over here. So previously, if you click on valley, if we select main ridge line, I'll just do this real quick. I'm sorry for the repetition. It's a little bit repetitive. Last truss. So this is the difference. Previously, you were only able to specify a minimum offset from the valley intersect. So the leftovers were going to be here. So it was a minimum. But the offset from the last truss, which is over here, you were able to specify exactly. So let's say that I want to make this 1 foot over here and make it the offset from the last truss. I'm just going to keep it as 1 foot. The spacing I would like to be 1 foot. And you can also offset from outer face, and you can add stub truss. You can create lines only, but I'm just going to click on OK. And this is basically the difference. It's going to start the spacing from the last truss, and then the leftovers are going to be over here. And this is really, that's it. That's the difference. For our last feature, which is the code update, I'm going to jump into advanced metal. I have advanced metal on another Revit here on my end. And this is only available for advanced metal because Pro Suite, Pro Wood, and Pro Metal do not have the engineering capabilities. So over here, I've already created an envelope. If I go to Advanced Metal and I click here on Create, I need to make sure that I tick here on Engineering Only. I'm going to make a back-to-back truss for a roof. It's going to be in feet, inches, and 1/16 of an inch. I'm just checking my settings over here. Let's select. I'm just going to keep this as is. Actually, let me select something here and send it to the top. So I've selected this one. I'm going to apply to all. If I go to physical members, I'm actually not going to make any changes here except make this lapped. Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk to you about. If you go here to engineering, and if you click on wind, you'll notice that now there's a new code available, which is actually this one. So this code, which is ASCE 7-16, has been added to the Truss engineering engine. So I'm just going to click on it, and then here, this is going to populate accordingly. I'm just going to click on OK. This will also affect the snow load settings. So I'm going to click here, and you'll notice that this has populated with the code that I had selected for the wind. I'm just going to click on OK and OK. This will open this dialog box right here. I'm just going to make sure that this node here has support, that it's pinned. Click on OK. I'm going to make sure that this one has support as well and that it's rolled. So let me actually expand this. What I wanted to show you is that over here, if I click on generate report, I will have to analyze first. So let's actually analyze. So first of all, this truss has passed. Let's generate report. And this is what I wanted to show you. So 3 reports have been generated at the same time. I'm going to show you where you can find the new code mentioned. If you scroll down to where it says load summary, where it says wind criteria, same for snow criteria, you're going to find that this is available also, or is found over here. So this is basically the most recent adjustment or addition that has been added to our truss module as well. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's it for our webinar for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening, everyone.